lastly, I wanted to tell you some tips about using these pom-poms for hats and other projects. So this comes in a package of 20. They're faux fur pom-poms. They have an elastic on them so that you can put them on and then remove them from a hat or a different projects that you're doing. The elastic comes not super stretchy, and that is so that it doesn't overstretch and fall off of your project. So you can stretch this to the size that you need. They come in a variety of colors. This is the dark colorway, so I love the different pinks, burgundies, blacks, grays, and tans that are in here. It makes for a perfect combo of different colors you can use for different colored hats. I am using this for the first time, so I'll tell you the tips that I've learned while putting this together onto a hat. I, for the first time, used a really high quality hand-dyed yarn, so I wanted to make a really upscale looking hat rather than something that looks obviously homemade. So I used this lovely wool yarn, and then I wanted to attach my pom-pom to the top. So here's some things that I've learned. You want to use a button and sew it to the top of the inside. You want to get it as close or right into the middle of the top of your pom-pom on the inside as you can. I use a sturdy cotton yarn when I'm sewing on the button, depending on what yarn you're using for your project. Sometimes if the yarn is not too thick and you can get it through a button, I just leave a long tail when I sew up the top if you're making the top of it last, or when you're starting your project with a magic ring or however you're starting the top of it, you leave a long tail, and then you can use that to sew your button depending on how big of a button you are using. I used a pretty small button. I was trying to use up ones that I'm not going to use for something else, and I use a cotton yarn just to secure it. So nice and tight right in the middle of the top of my project. When I was ready to put on my pom-pom, I used my crochet hook, a smaller crochet hook. I reached in through the bottom right into the center, right like around the button, but trying to get right to the center. And then I pushed it through the top of the hat so that I could clip on the top of the elastic and then pull it right through the bottom, so that then you can easily put the elastic around the button and it stays in place. Now, to get this pom-pom nice and fluffy, I just used a hair dryer as recommended by several people to get this to be nice and fluffy and look a little bit bigger. These are 4-inch pom-poms, but you want to make sure that it matches your hat. This is an adult hat for myself, and I wanted it to look nice and fluffy and like it was the appropriate size for my hat. So I'll show you that video right here of how I fluffed that up. And as you can see, it made the perfect fluffy pom-pom. I'm gonna put this on for you. Let me find the back of my hat and show you how cute this really is. I kept a little bit of a top of my hat so that it would stick up, and I think this is an adorable, cute little hat and such a nice way to add a little bit of elegance to your project.